We're live from Joliet, Illinois, and ATI Field at Joliet Memorial Stadium for St. Francis Soccer. Today, opening up the conference schedule against the Crimson Wave of Calumet College of St. Joseph. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Terry Bonadonna. I'll be on the call for today's game as the Saints try to improve to 3-4 on the season. They take on a struggling Calumet team that is 0-7 so far this year, but it's a blank slate because it is the start of CCAC play, the first game in the conference this year. Let's take a look at the starting lineups. First for the visiting Crimson Wave. Their defenders are Kevin Helsningen, Darnell Peterkin, and Eliseo Hernandez, along with Devin Dawkins Jr. In the midfield, Jack Mitchell, Austin Aguilera, Addison Barnhill, and Nemanja Stefanovic. The forwards are Devontae Brown and Kenneth Easy. The team in Crimson is set at midfield to kick the ball first. They'll be going from right to left here in the first half. The Saints are in white, and they're going from left to right to start today's game. Their defenders include Brian Castillo, Christian Batangelo, Morgan McKenzie, and Albie Hilton-Jones. As we get underway, the Crimson Wave take the first kick and boot it down towards the defensive line, knocked away by Albie Hilton-Jones. The midfielders for the Fighting Saints today are Oscar Leon, Calvin Nlovu, Mason Messina, David Valadez, who shuffles between midfield and defense. And the forwards are Ruel Erastus Abilo and Edgar Orapezo. Two forwards, as usual, for St. Francis this evening. Goalkeepers for the Crimson Wave of Calumet, Roy Geen, starting for the 7th time among Calumet's 8 games this year. He's made 31 saves as that ball sails out of bounds. A throw-in from the near sideline for St. Francis. Roy Geen has a 3.81 goals allowed average, has not won a game yet. His team has gone 0-6, although primarily because of a lack of offense rather than poor defending or goalkeeping. So that ball is headed back to the goalkeeper of St. Francis, the sophomore Carlos Ferrer-Cotto, back in the lineup after missing the previous 3 games. Down the sideline, here's Leon rolling it ahead and intercepted, knocked away by Calumet College of St. Joseph. Leon battling for the ball once again here, but he's whistled for a quick foul, so a free kick for the Crimson Wave. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto has a 2.62 goals allowed average this year, a 1-2 record in his starts. No shutouts yet. Saints do not yet have a shutout as a team. Today may be the day to get it as they go up against a conference foe that has only scored 4 goals in its first 7 games played this year. Calumet has been shut out 4 times this season. As that ball knocked down towards the box, it rolls inside the yellow line where Carlos Ferrer-Cotto could have picked it up. Instead, he gives it the big boot down the left side across midfield, knocked out of bounds, and David Valadez will throw it in for the Saints. No score. We've played 2 minutes here in Joliet this evening. First conference game of the year, playing under the lights today as the sun sets behind us here on the western bleachers. That ball is knocked away out of bounds along the sideline by Calumet. That sets up a throw-in for St. Francis. The ball ricochets off the seats and back onto the field of play. So they got to get rid of that before we go on. But now the ball is tossed in. Saints trying to set something up from the corner. There's a shot and a save made by Roy Geen as that ball was sent on a missile right into his hands along the near post. An easy stop for the Crimson Wave, coming up with the defensive stop against St. Francis. And here come the Saints on the attack once again, trying to keep the ball in bounds. Leon can't do it. Goes out the sideline. That is a throw-in for Calumet. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto is playing for the first time in the month of September. Noah Jaudat has filled in during his absence. Jaudat, the junior goalkeeper, has very similar statistics through his 3 games as Carlos Ferrer-Cotto does in his 3. Both men have 1-2 records. Ferrer-Cotto's made a couple of extra stops, 17 saves compared to 13 as the Saints get it to the middle of the field just outside the box. Roll to the right. There's a shot by McKenzie. It sails high and wide. The wind is blowing briskly in that direction. So the Saints probably more often than not in this first half will be benefited by a strong breeze. That time though, McKenzie probably would have been better off taking something off of that shot with the wind helping to push it over the net. Still no score. We're just about 4 minutes into the game. Crimson Wave trying to set up a counter here after McKenzie's wide shot. Whistle blows. Foul called against the Saints. The Crimson Wave put it right back in play. Noah Jawdat has a slightly better goals allowed average than Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. It's 2.33 compared to 2.62. Chipped into the box, right at the edge. It's Calvin and Lovu passing it back to Leon. Leon crosses in front of the net. Arastasabilo can't get a clean look, and it's deflected away. Here come the Saints again, though. McKenzie rolls it in, and the offsides flag is up. That was Calvin and Lovu on the run, and Lovu was able to push it past Roy Gein and into the back of the net. But it doesn't count for a goal because he was offsides, so we go the other way with it. No score yet in this game. The Saints have had a few opportunities early on. Nothing serious has developed offensively yet for the Crimson Wave. At midfield, Calumet takes it away, and now a nice run down the center. Dribbling off towards the left, Albie Hilton-Jones slides in defensively, knocks the ball away, and it rolls out the back line. Austin Aguilera just let it roll after he had initially lost control of it. He had a chance to regain possession there, but instead decided to let it go out to set up a corner kick, and now the rest of his teammates are able to join him down on this side of the field. Rolled in quickly to Jack Mitchell. Mitchell looking for the cross, but it's knocked away from him. Ball loose in the box. Header up in the air by Hilton-Jones. Wrapped back by Darnell Peterkin, but intercepted by St. Francis, and they've knocked it out. Crimson Wave still trying to gain possession here, although it's lost to the Saints. And the Saints are able to clear it. Ryan Castile, the one who finally sends it across midfield. There's Oropeza, deflected, knocked back the other way, but back to the team in white. Valadez rolls it ahead. This is Kelvin and Lovu trying to make something happen. Off to the near side. There's your cross, and headed away by the Crimson Wave. Cutting up the sideline and losing the ball out of bounds right there. Number 7, Kenneth Easy. Throw in for St. Francis right at midfield. Leon gets it in, trying to get it back. It's deflected. 38.5 minutes to play in today's first half. Tossed in towards Easy. Kenneth Easy can't control it. Leon takes it away instead, and his pass is deflected out by Nemanja Stefanovic. Another St. Francis throw in here. Saints 2-4 on the year. By and large, they have displayed good offense. Their defense has not been quite as sharp as it was a season ago, as that ball is deflected up in the air off the throw-in. In their most recent game, though, the defense showed up big time. 1-0 loss against Bethel. They couldn't get the offensive support they were looking for. Rolled into the box, and Carlos Ferrer-Cotto is there once again to send it high into the air and deep down the near sideline, headed out of bounds by Mitchell. St. Francis gets throw in. Leon out of bounds this time. Leon gets it back in once again. Made the last throws, deflected back out of bounds, so now he gets to throw it a second time. The whistle blows beforehand. Now he's finally able to toss it into Edgar Oropeza. Oropeza turns and cuts back towards the middle. He taps it forward, looking inside the box for Ruel Arastasabilo. Couldn't connect with him. Goes to the back line, and it is scooped up there by Roy Gein, not literally, as he does kick it off to the right side rather than throwing it down that way. Cross field for Jack Mitchell, headed back the other way. Leon deflected out of bounds by Stefanovic. Tossed back into play by Batangelo. That's McKenzie to Mason Messina, and Messina lets that ball roll all the way back to midfield. Now he starts to make his move down the line. Ahead for Edgar Oropeza. Oropeza makes a man miss, and now trying to get around another defender. He takes a shot, but rolls it into the hands of the waiting Roy Gein. Goalkeeper for Calumet College is able to make the save there off of a very nice little run, first by Mason Messina and then by Edgar Oropeza. Oropeza kept the dribble while getting around a pair of defenders, but he came up just short. And now Calumet trying to counter, making their way down the middle of the field. There's a shot, and Carlos Ferrer-Cotto watches it roll out the back line, just wide to the right of the net. It looked like Ferrer-Cotto was on top of it. Could have made the save if it had been on target, but as he recognized the trajectory of that ball and the fact that it was rolling towards the back line, a little bit wide of the post, he decided not to play it, letting it go out instead, setting up a goal kick. 35.5 minutes to go, first half. We've got no score. There's a little push in the back as Erastus Abilo is knocked to the turf. Quick foul is called on Calumet. Erastus Abilo still on the ground, clutching his right ankle or foot. He is able to walk it off as the play continues. Here's Leon taking a shot, and Geen makes the catch. The shot looked like it was going wide, but Geen stepped in and made the grab regardless, sending it out of harm's way. Calumet now looking to move it across half court, or half midfield, I should say. Instead, it's taken away by Kelvin Nlovu. Messina back over to Nlovu on the left side. Rolled into the box, looking for Erastus Abilo. It's popped out of bounds instead. David Valadez tosses it in. At the edge of the box, rolled towards the back line. Edgar Oropeza turns and shoots, quickly deflected and knocked away. Back to Mason Messina. Messina lofts it back into the box, in front of the net. There's a potential chance, and it is knocked into the net. Kelvin Nlovu, the last one to get his foot on that ball for St. Francis, as the Saints strike first. 34:06 to play in the first half. Nice job by Nlovu sticking with it as Roy Geen was pulled out of the net. Nlovu seemingly had an open shot. He tried to roll it in. The defense was there for Calumet, but not quite there quickly enough, as one of the defenders did get his foot on the ball, but couldn't get enough force on that ball to knock it out of the net. Instead, he was the last one to touch it before it went into the net. Kelvin Nlovu picks up the goal, and the Saints have a 1-0 lead just about 11 minutes in. Now they're looking to make it 2 goals in succession. Here's Erastus Abilo off to Mason Messina. Messina takes a shot, but rolls it wide to the right, out of bounds for a goal kick. For Kelvin Nlovu, it's the first goal of the season. It is not his first point this year. He did have an assist earlier in the year, but first goal in a week for St. Francis as they were shut out in their most recent game. They beat Lord's University 3-2 a week ago today. Good to see them back in the goals column after their offense has been on fire for most of the year. Following a rare shutout loss, they're able to strike early in this one. And now they get a throw in just across midfield as they look to strike again. Christian Batangelo tosses it in to Leon, and Leon loses it out of bounds. Crimson Wave put it right back into play. There's an interception away from Kenneth Easy. St. Francis is called for the foul. Calumet gets the free kick across midfield. They roll it forward lightly. Now working across to the other side of the pitch. That ball into the middle of the field, deflected away by Christian Batangelo. Messina battling for that ball against Addison Barnhill, and it is won by St. Francis. Now Mason Messina comes racing up again from the back and knocking his head off that ball to push it forward. Saints are on the move. It's Valadez along the outside, far sideline, rolled into the middle of the field. And Nlovu to the middle. Past its intended target and towards the back line. Roy Geen is there to make the stop. And to push it across to the other side of the field, and Jack Mitchell, as Mitchell starts to make his way down the field. slight mistouch. Had to tap it back and get some help. Nearly taken away by the Saints in their attacking third of the field, but it is held on to by the Crimson Wave for now against two defenders. Nice job so far by Devin Dawkins to hold on to it, and Dawkins is able to clear it. There's Easy popping it up into the air, headed back the other way. 31:15 to play, first half, 1-0. St. Francis has the lead. Valadez tapped back to Castillo, and Brian Castillo sends it down the way. It's headed back the other direction. Knocked out by the Fighting Saints. Throw in for Calumet, and they send it all the way back to their goalkeeper. Roy Gein, unpressured, is able to take a couple of steps back and a running start before pushing that ball deep down the near sideline, out of bounds. St. Francis throw for Christian Batangelo. Batangelo walks it down the sideline, now pulls up and throws it in. Looking for Oropeza, overshot him, but he gets it back from Erastus Abilo. Now McKenzie down to Leon, who is offsides. Oscar Leon, the freshman midfielder slash forward, offsides that time. Play goes the other direction. This is Easy to his right. Devontae Brown goes even further to the right side, all the way down the sideline. This is Brown chasing it down. Brown has the cross there off the head of Aguilera, and nearly taken away by St. Francis. Aguilera still is with it. He gets around Brian Castillo, and it's intercepted by Mason Messina. Here's Edgar Oropeza trying to lead the charge. 3-on-3. Oropeza down the middle of the field. His kick is deflected, ball loose in front of the box and cleared away by the Crimson Wave. Nice defensive stand right there as the clock ticks down close to 29 minutes to play in the first half. 1-0. The Fighting Saints have the lead on Kelvin and Lovu's first goal of the season. Easy lost control of it and pushed down from behind is Kelvin and Lovu. So a foul called on Calumet College of St. Joseph, and a free kick here for St. Francis. It'll be taken by Batangelo. Christian Batangelo just waits for everybody to get set. Now he sends it away down the sideline and too far towards the sideline. It's out of bounds. Never had a chance. Throw in for Jack Mitchell and the Crimson Wave. Brown to his right, and Stefanovic all the way to the outside. Crimson Wave trying to get back to the middle of the field, looking for Devin Dawkins, but they couldn't connect. Down on the defensive end of St. Francis, or the offensive end, I should say, of St. Francis, they lose it out of bounds. So the defensive team gets to put it back in. That's the Crimson Wave, and it's immediately deflected back out of bounds along the sideline. Throw in coming up here for the Fighting Saints. Angelo tosses it into Erastus Abilo. Now Oropeza trying to reverse his position. Taken away by Jack Mitchell. Oropeza gets it right back over to Leon. Leon down into the corner looking for the cross. Knocked away by the Crimson Wave. Trying to keep it in bounds. Aguilera does, and he knocks it off of a Fighting Saint out for a Crimson Wave throw-in. Headed towards the line. Out of bounds, last touched by the Saints. Austin Aguilera tosses in behind him to Jack Mitchell. Off the chest of Easy, and Albie Hilton-Jones heads it all the way back to Carlos Ferrer-Cotto, who will usher his team downfield a little bit before sending it away. Under 27 minutes to go in the first half. Saints scored a goal just about 11 minutes in, almost exactly 11 minutes in. Came in the 11th minute. Kelvin and Lovu, first goal of the year. We've remained 1-0 ever since. It's only been a little over 9.5 minutes since that goal was scored. Petangelo downfield. Knocked back the other way. Oropeza cannot win the battle for that ball. It is controlled by Devontae Brown, who's knocked to the ground by Kelvin Lovu. Here comes Calumet. Mitchell. Mitchell trying to keep his head up. Looking downfield for Aguilera, and Aguilera was offsides before that ball could get to him, or before he could get to that ball, whichever you prefer. Doesn't matter. Whistle blew. The flag was up on the far sideline. Ethan Budgie, the official down there, along with Miguel Chavez working the lines. Andy Murado is today's head official, as Christian Petangelo gives it a big boot. Too far towards the sideline again, though. It's the second time on a free kick that he has lost it out of bounds. Oscar Leon battling to control that ball. Leon shoved off of it, stays alive. And Albie Hilton-Jones clears it downfield, but again, out of bounds. Saints give up possession as Calumet gets another throw in towards the middle of the field. Brian Castillo trying to step in on that ball. Crimson Wave keep control, though. Far end, they get around David Valadez. There's a shot from long range. It's out of bounds. Not just long range, but a tough angle near the sideline on the right side. It was only about 20 yards out, but again, well wide as well. So that creates a little extra distance and a little bit more difficult of an angle. A shot, but no shot on goal for Calumet College. And now a goal kick for Christian Petangelo in St. Francis. Petangelo goes to the opposite sideline this time around after the previous two free kicks had gone out. There's a ball into the box, a good run for Oropeza. Edgar Oropeza shoots and just misses high. Nearly made it 2-0 right there. He was perfectly in sync with the defensive line of Calumet College. On sides, just barely. And he got a good shot off, just a little bit high. Missed by inches. Saints intercept the goal kick. See if they can make another quick run. McKenzie to the outside. There's the cross from Valadez in front of the net, headed back the other way by the Crimson Wave. Not controlled yet, though. Against a couple of defenders, they're not able to hold on. But Devin Dawkins works to get the ball back, and he does just that. So Dawkins has it again. A little nifty ball work right around midfield. Finally gives it up. Darnell Peterkin to his right. And now back to the middle of the field. This is Dawkins. Dawkins turns to fire it downfield, but the Saints had a man in his way. Albie Hilton-Jones came away with the deflection. Out of bounds, Saints throw in. 23 minutes to play in the first half. Christian Petangelo goes long with his throw, and he finds Oropeza. Edgar Oropeza looking for a cross. Knocked away by the Crimson Wave, but deflected back by Mason Messina. Messina pops it up in the air, headed back by Calumet, and out of bounds. Along the far sideline this time, a little bit beyond midfield, still in the neutral third. Saints try to push the attack. Here comes McKenzie. Long-range shot from Morgan McKenzie. Wide to the left, out of bounds for a goal kick. He was open. He had a pretty good look at the net. But he was way out there. Well over 40 yards outside of the goal. McKenzie unable to come up with his second score of the year. It's still 1-0 St. Francis on the strength of Kelvin and Lovu's goal. That came late in the 11th minute. Calumet plays it slowly out of the goal kick. Intercepted by Castillo off the defensive line. McKenzie Across to the left, and David Valadez wants to run. He knocks it ahead. Nobody there wearing white. Instead, the man in orange. The first man to get to that ball in one hop, Roy Geen. Pretty easy stop for him there. Saints will try to keep that pressure on, though. Crimson Wave push it to the outside. Rolled across midfield, nearly intercepted by St. Francis, and a whistle is blown against the Fighting Saints. Foul called against Mason Messina, pushing one of the Calumet players down on a ball they were both battling for. Free kick just beyond the midfield stripe. Kick is away in front of the box, headed back in the other direction by Mason Messina. Knocked towards the sideline, out of bounds. Another throw in for St. Francis, who will make their first substitution of the game. Leon Laskowski is in for the Saints. Checking out is number 24, Oscar Leon. This is the usual starting lineup. Leon not typically in there. Leon Laskowski got a rare day off, at least as far as starting. He is in there now, so it's not a full day off. For Leon, it was just the second start of the season. And for Leon Laskowski, just the second time this year that he has not been in the starting lineup. He still has played in every game. Ball loose along the sideline, knocked out of bounds by St. Francis. A little bit of contact there as the Saints player, Edgar Oropeza, hit the dirt. No call either way, though. Crimson Wave got it back in on the throw. Petangelo misses as he comes up to try to knock it downfield. Aguilera jumps in and wins it for Calumet. Rolled to the left. That's Dawkins. Evan Dawkins gets it in to Devontae Brown. Brown looks to take the shot, and it's just off. Not a bad attempt right there from Devontae Brown. Not able to put it in ultimately, but Crimson Wave are trying to stay aggressive. Despite the first half deficit, it is a small deficit. Plenty of time to come back in. Big kick from Petangelo down off the head of Ruel Arastasabilo. Devontae Brown for Calumet. Rolls it to the left, and Aguilera. Aguilera to the ground, no whistle. Saints in possession. Here's Oropeza. Oropeza looking ahead into the box for Arastasabilo. Couldn't connect with him. Jack Mitchell instead. Or rather, Kevin Helsdingen jumps in the way and pokes it out of bounds. It's a corner kick for St. Francis, so they've still got a good chance here. Not as good as it was a minute ago, though, before Helsdingen jumped in. Looked like it might be a completed pass and an easy second goal of the game. Laskowski just in, now gets to become the designated corner kick taker. Sent in, deflected once in front of the net and put up too high over the net and out of bounds for a goal kick. The ball was deflected off the corner kick, went all the way to the back end of the goal. It was knocked back, but not out of harm's way. Morgan McKenzie was one of several Fighting Saints players who were right in there on it. McKenzie is the one who knocked it too high and out of bounds, and then immediately threw up his hands in frustration for what he had just done. Still 1-0 St. Francis. 17.5 minutes to play in the first half. Working along the defensive line. Calumet pushes it ahead. Under the foot of Dawkins. And back down the field towards the goalkeeper's box. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto is there to make the stop before the racing Helsdingen could get down there and poke it in. Saints push it downfield. Knocked out of bounds. St. Francis ball on the throw-in. Knocked away from Erastus Abilo, but on the other end, there's Leon Laskowski trying to clean things up. Laskowski off to Enlovu, who sends it further backwards to Christian Batangelo. Saints just moving the ball around right now. We've got time. Knocked away by Dawkins, nearly stolen by the Crimson Wave, but the Saints get it back. Here comes Oropeza. Oropeza has it poked away by Jack Mitchell. That rolls out of bounds. Throw in for the Fighting Saints. Headed away. Can he keep it in bounds? He can indeed. Oh, but on the second end, Mitchell is the one to knock it out. So the Saints do retain possession here. Here's Oropeza at the corner of the box. Oropeza out to Laskowski. Can't control it off the first touch. Trying to recover. And it's knocked away from him out the back line. Last touched once again by Calumet. Another corner kick here for the Fighting Saints. Came up just short on their last one. Here's their second corner kick of the game. Both within the last couple of minutes. Time is called before we're able to go on here. And now the whistle does signal the go-ahead to Leon Laskowski. Deep corner kick, headed once by Albie Hilton-Jones, now up into the air, knocked away by the team in crimson. From long range, one last chance there. It's deflected at the front of the line. One last chance from Vicente Tejelos for St. Francis. And now the ball rolls back into the hands of the goalkeeper, Roy Geen. Geen starts it in the other direction. Valadez turns and fires it downfield. Going back the other way. Saints defense steps up again into the box, and Carlos Ferrer-Cotto just heads it out of there. Speaking of headers, that one went wrong for Calumet. Rolled off to Erastus Abilo, but taken right back by the Crimson Wave. Into the box, and a bad first touch by Peterkin. Ball loose in front of the box. Peterkin gets it back. He rolls it to his right. Chasing it all the way down into the corner is Austin Aguilera, and Aguilera does keep it alive, but coming in from behind him and taking the ball away, Christian Batangelo. Nice work by Batangelo, and was looking like a tough possession for St. Francis to continue. Under 14 minutes to go, first half. 1-0, Saints lead on Calvin Enlovu's 11th minute goal. Crimson Wave are going to get a free kick here. And it's about 30 yards out. About 32 yards out laterally. He's off to the right of the net as well. But a chance on this free kick to even the score. Devontae Brown is in there. Doesn't look like he's going to be the guy to take the kick. I guess you never know. Kevin Helsdingen is there as well, and Helsdingen will send it away in front of the net, headed back in the other direction by Batangelo. Good defense by St. Francis, and there's the clearance. Out into no man's land along the sideline, easily out of bounds. Sets up a throw-in, back into play. And headed out of bounds by Leon Laskowski. That ball got on him quickly. Didn't have enough time to react. Inbounded to Jack Mitchell. Mitchell trying to keep it in bounds, unsuccessfully. Laskowski will throw it in. No, he won't. He'll give it back to Batangelo to do the same. Batangelo whips it down the sideline, looking for Ruel Erastus Abilo, but instead it's deflected out of bounds. 1-0, the Saints lead with 12 minutes to go in the first half. Free kick here for St. Francis. It'll be taken by Batangelo right at midfield. Kick goes deep into the box, right at the front. Headed away by the Crimson Wave. Repossessed by the Saints. Bajalos unable to hold on to that ball as Devontae Brown takes it away. Brown down the middle of the field, intercepted by Albie Hilton Jones. Hilton Jones is ahead to Nlovu. Nlovu to Erastus Abilo. Good ball movement. Rolled into the box. Geen jumps in on that ball, and he's able to deflect it away. Took it off the foot of the St. Francis attacker, or Peza, I believe, who that was. And on the whistle, Calumet will get a free kick here. Just outside the box, they reset this possession. Playing a short game to get it to midfield. Brian Castillo goes the other way for St. Francis. Saints looking to attack. It bounces once into the box. Roy Geen steps in and makes the catch on the one hop. Geen trying to start a quick counterattack, but nothing has worked so far. Calumet still looking for their first shot on target today. They've been able to get a few of them out there, just haven't been able to test Carlos Ferrer-Cotto yet. There's a trip and a foul called. Pushed ahead by Calumet, and nobody on that side of the field. The ball came to the near side. Leon Laskowski boots it down the middle of the pitch. Chased down by Edgar Oropeza. Oropeza trying to get that ball in his possession before the defense can close in. Didn't work for him. And instead, it's pushed out of bounds along the sideline, right at midfield for Leon Laskowski to throw it in. Or Christian Batangelo, whoever wants it. Batangelo tosses it into Nlovu, right back to Laskowski. And now beyond one defender, Erastus Abilo is met by a second. Can't get around him. Tapped out of bounds inadvertently by the Fighting Saints. Calumet throw in now. Out of bounds, last touched by the Crimson Wave. Kelvin Nlovu was the last one to touch that ball for St. Francis. He let out a little bit of a yelp after kicking that ball. Got it awkwardly, I guess. Here's Laskowski. Laskowski doing a good job dancing around a defender, but the second defender meets him and takes the ball away. Saints get it back, though. Nlovu ahead to Erastus Abilo. Valadez loses control. Gotten right back by the Saints. There's a long cross over to Leon Laskowski. Laskowski taps it down to the corner. He's looking for the cross. Deflected out by Calumet. We've got a corner kick coming up. 8.5 minutes to go. First half, St. Francis trying to take a multi-goal cushion into the break. Laskowski's corner kick is away and deflected away by the Crimson Wave. Ball loose, still picked up by the Saints. Over the heads this time of the Crimson Wave defense, but tracked down by Leon Laskowski, and Laskowski is tripped just in front of the corner. So this one is going to work out a lot like a corner kick as the foul is called, and I think a little bit more. The clock has been stopped, and we may get a booking here for Aguilera as there's an injured man down for St. Francis. Training staff is taking a look at Leon Laskowski, who's trailing that ball the entire way. Just as he was looking to turn it and make it cross to the middle of the field, he was tripped up. With 8 minutes, 4 seconds to go in the first half, and I thought they would give a yellow card to Aguilera for that, but they've actually gone with a red card. So he is done for the rest of the game now, and Calumet St. Joseph already down by a goal, now down by a man as well, so they lose one of their top players. Laskowski is up, walking gingerly, but he is walking on his own off towards the sideline and out of play. So play will continue without Laskowski out there, but it'll also continue without Aguilera out there for Calumet. Austin Aguilera, the senior midfielder from Crown Point, Indiana, given the red card for tripping. And he's been very much involved, Aguilera, early on in this game. He's been one of the Crimson Wave players who just seems to be around the ball more often than not. He's also the team's leading goal scorer with 2 of them this season. It might not sound like a huge number, but for a Calumet team that has only scored 4 all year, that 2 represents half of their goals on the year. So that is a bitter pill to swallow for Calumet College of St. Joseph. Over the last 53 minutes, tumbled to the ground after he had been from Talos. Overshoots Petangelo. Over to his right, Mason Messina. 1-0. St. Francis leads. They're playing with a man advantage after a red card moments ago given to Austin Aguilera. Down in the corner, easy. Trying to pass it off to Stefanovic, but can't hook up with him. It's deflected out of bounds by St. Francis. Stefanovic tosses it right back into play. Knocked away by Rocco Del Real, and he clears it down the sideline. Now there's a tie-up, and a whistle blows. I think a foul is going to be called on Edgar Oropeza. So play continues for the Crimson Wave, but again cleared quickly by St. Francis. Here's Del Real to the right side, and Kelvin and Lovu. And Lovu has it knocked away from him by Nemanja Stefanovic. Out of bounds. Last touched by Lovu. Calumet is trying for a quick equalizer here in the waning minutes of the first half. Another trip, but another foul called against Christian Petangelo this time. So in terms of the number of fouls committed in today's first half, St. Francis has been the aggressor more often than not. But the one big one was called against the Crimson Wave. That was the red card a few minutes ago given to Austin Aguilera. Here's Stefanovic. Sending it to the middle of the field. There's a header up in front of the net and knocked just wide and out of bounds. Looks like it was a Saints defender who touched that ball last. Trying to get it out of there, but nearly a miss hit towards the goal and instead just wide. That sets up the corner kick, but the Saints remain in front. Nemanja Stefanovic will be the one to put this corner kick in play. Trailing by 1 goal. Here's the kick from Calumet. In front of the net and sliding to take that ball away. David Valadez comes up with a huge stop. And now a shot from way out there comes up wide from Eliseo Hernandez and picked up on a bounce by Carlos Ferrer-Cotto, who just flings it across midfield. Here come the Saints along the sideline, tapped out. That was last touched by the Crimson Waves. The Saints continue their run forward. Ruel Erastus Abilo has it tapped away from him from behind and out of bounds along the sideline. Saints throw in. Tossed in again to Erastus Abilo, and a whistle blows against St. Francis. Calumet reverses field, coming to the near side. It's Jack Mitchell receiving the pass from Roy Gein. Mitchell across midfield to Easy. Here's Devontae Brown. Devontae Brown looking to cut it towards the center. He rolls it ahead, looking for Devin Dawkins. Can't connect with him. There's a deflection from Brown, received by the Saints. Del Real along the sideline, poked away from him by Mitchell, kept in bounds by Devontae Brown, who starts it moving the other way for Calumet. Sent back to the defensive line. Mitchell ahead across Nemanja Stefanovic, hooks up with Devin Dawkins, but it's taken away. Calumet in possession again with 4 minutes to play in the first half. Into the center of the field, pushed ahead. Knocked back by St. Francis's defense. Here's Easy. Kenneth Easy working to gain a handle on it. Looks to the outside, and Brown. Devontae Brown into the box. Bounces twice and into the gloves of Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. Here come the Saints. Calvin and Lovu's got the one goal today for St. Francis. And Lovu right up ahead of Christian Batangelo at the moment. Batangelo looking for a receiver, and he finds Edgar Oropeza. It's a ball to the outside, long run for Nlovu. Can he keep it in bounds? He cannot. A little bit too far out of his range. Throw in for Calumet, and Mitchell deflected out of bounds by the Fighting Saints. So from further down the field, Mitchell whips it in again. Here's Kenneth Easy. Easy going against Christian Batangelo on defense, and Batangelo helps the Saints take it away, or at least knock it backwards. Dawkins intercepted. And there's a late whistle as Brian Castillo had his sleeve grabbed and pulled down to the ground. The foul is called against Calumet. And now the clock stops. And it looks like St. Francis's bench is going to get a yellow card. Dan Cross maybe getting a little bit too chirpy over there. So the yellow card has been given to the Fighting Saints with 2:27 to play in the first half. Saints still have the one-goal lead late. They've got a one-man advantage here, late in the first half, that is. Nearing the halfway point of today's game. Here's Erastus Abilo tapping it once towards the box. And a group of people, it's taken away by the Crimson Wave. Streaking quickly down the sideline. And as they slow things down, a big kick down to the near side. Devontae Brown cannot control it. Instead, Christian Batangelo taps it out of bounds. It's a throw in here for Devontae Brown. Brown lobs it into Peterkin, gets it right back. Brown looking for the cross, didn't have it. Pulled it back instead. Here's Mitchell. Jack Mitchell loses the ball to Edgar Oropeza, but Oropeza can't keep it in bounds. There's Mitchell firing down the sideline off the head on a bounce of Kenneth Easy. Easy trying to control the ball. He does. Going up against Albie Hilton Jones. Tapped off to the right side and Dawkins. And now further to the right. There's a shot deflected with 1 minute to play in the half. A trip and a foul called. As Mason Messina hit the deck on that tackle from Calumet. See if the Saints can get one last attack going down the field and make it a two-goal game at halftime. Headed back the other way by Calumet. They're at midfield, and now they'll try to tie the score very quickly before halftime. Just across midfield for the Crimson Wave, it's Nemanja Stefanovic against a pair of defenders, and Valadez takes it away. David Valadez trying to work quickly. Rolled ahead into the box. Geen comes up, slides, and knocks that ball away. And there's the whistle. Edgar Oropeza made the run, and Oropeza was taken out with 19 seconds to play in the first half. St. Francis is going to get an opportunity here to double their lead. Roy Geen tried to make the last-minute stop there. Took out Oropeza, and now Oropeza will get to take his own penalty kick. Excuse me, Vicente Telos to take the kick, and he rolls it into the right side. 2-0, St. Francis on the penalty kick with 19 seconds to play in the first half. Vicente Telos scores his first goal of the season. So he and Calvin and Lovu have both struck for the first time this year. It's 2-0, St. Francis on top. And that goal scored with 18 seconds now on the clock for the first half. A very costly penalty committed by Calumet College of St. Joseph. That's happened a couple of times to them today. Costly penalties. They've lost a player to a red card, and now they lose the goal to the penalty kick. That ball sent down the sideline, and everybody will just let it roll as we're in the final 5 seconds of the half. That's just going to end the first half of play and a solid ending to a solid half of soccer for St. Francis as they get the penalty kick in the final 20 seconds to move ahead 2-0 against Calumet College of St. Joseph. The Saints trying to start hot to their CCAC season and improve to 1-0 on the year and move to within a game of 500 overall. We've got 45 minutes of soccer still to play, and after the first half, it's the Saints 2 and the Crimson Wave nothing. We'll be back with the second half in about 15 minutes. Back in Joliet, it's St. Francis 2, Calumet College of St. Joseph nothing. Terry Bonadano back with you for the play-by-play. The final 45 minutes of today's game. Saints got a goal in the first half from Kelvin and Lovu. That was in the 11th minute of action, and they led 1-0 for the majority of the first half as we are underway in half number 2. They have reversed sides here. Team in white, the Fighting Saints, now going from right to left, and that'll be the way it goes for the next 45 minutes as their initial attack is halted by Kevin Helsdingen, and he gets it the other way to Kenneth Easy for the Crimson Wave. Again, the Saints led 1-0 for pretty much the entire first half. There was a red card given to one of the star players of Calumet. Austin Aguilera was given the red card for tripping Leon Laskowski in the 37th minute of the first half, and that was very costly to a Crimson Wave team that was trailing, but they were hanging around. They lost their leading goal scorer, and they're going to have some trouble gaining some offensive life here going forward. We'll see if they're able to mount any late attacks. They need at least 2 goals in addition to playing stout defense. As the ball is loose, Easy gets tangled up with Castillo, and Easy is called for the foul. We'll go the other way with it. Their defense stood up pretty well even after losing Aguilera late in that second half. Saints didn't have a ton of chances after that, but they did score a goal in the final minute with 19 seconds on the clock. Edgar Oropeza was fouled in the box. Penalty kick was taken by Vicente Tejelos, and he ended up scoring his first goal of the season on the PK, and that made it 2-0 St. Francis. So that second goal didn't come until the final 20 seconds of the first half, but it did come for the Fighting Saints, and so they doubled their lead, and now they have got to be feeling pretty comfortable where they stand with a 2-goal lead and a 1-man advantage here with 43 minutes to play in the game. Crimson Wave, though, are on the move here as the ball was sent back out of bounds by the Fighting Saints. Helsdingen will come up from his defensive perch to make the throw in here. I'll give you some numbers from the first half in just a moment. The ball's tapped out of bounds again by St. Francis. We'll see first if Calumet can make anything out of this attack. They're in the attacking third of the field as Helsdingen sends it in. Getting deep into St. Francis territory, it's Kenneth Easy. Back out to Helsdingen. The flag goes up. There's some contact and a foul as Easy and Valadez got tangled up with one another. David Valadez is whistled for the infraction, and that sets up a free kick for Helsdingen just about 17 yards or so out, off to the right of the box. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto hugs the near post. We'll see what Helsdingen decides to do with this one. He's at a tough angle to put this one on goal. See if he tries anyway, or if he looks for some support from a teammate. There's the approach from Helsdingen. He does look for some help from a teammate. It is headed towards the net, but Carlos Ferrer-Cotto chases it down a little bit wide of the target. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto, in his first game back from injury, does not yet have a save today. Calumet does have 6 shots in the first half, but none of them on goal. St. Francis took 14 shots. 5 of them were on goal. 3 saves have been made so far by Roy Geen, the goalkeeper of Calumet. In the first half, 9 fouls were called against the Saints, 7 against Calumet. Saints were given 1 caution, a yellow card, issued to their bench and their head coach Dan Cross, but nothing more than that. The big booking came on that 37th minute red card given to Austin Aguilera. Here's Kenneth Easy, tripped up just in front of the box. He was right on the line. It'll be interesting to see where they call this one, and apparently outside the box where Easy was tripped up. And he's animated about it. He wants the penalty kick, but by inches he was not yet inside the box when he was tripped. And so the free kick is coming up here for Calumet, but they will not get a penalty kick. Yellow card is given to Albie Hilton Jones. So that's the second yellow card given to St. Francis today. The first one, though, given to Albie Hilton Jones. Calumet College of St. Joseph putting up a fight here. 4 minutes and 5 seconds into the second half. They trail 2-0, but they've come out very aggressive here in the second half. They've created a good opportunity for themselves right here. Perhaps not quite as good an opportunity as they would like or as they thought they deserved after that call. but they're putting a scare into St. Francis just the same. Ball is set up just about a yard outside of the box, a little bit to the right of dead center. Helsdingen gets it set. Helsdingen this season does not have a goal. He's looking to change that right here. Ball is set, the players are set. Here's the kick from Helsdingen, just a little bit high and out of bounds. So the Saints dodge a bullet as the foul was called. Kenneth Easy on the attack, tripped up by Albie Hilton-Jones, who was given a yellow card. And it was close as to whether or not it was in the box, but apparently just outside. So rather than getting the penalty kick, he gets a simple free kick from about a yard outside, and he misses it about a yard too high. So whistle blows, foul called this time on Calumet. And the Saints maintain their 2-goal lead. Calumet College of St. Joseph still looking for their first shot on goal in today's game, as that one sailed a little bit too high for Carlos Ferrer-Cotto on the kick from Kevin Helsdingen, sophomore out of the Netherlands. Clock stops at 40:29, another yellow card given out. Free kick is sent away from midfield and immediately intercepted by the Crimson Wave. I didn't see who got that yellow card for Calumet, but there was a trip at midfield. It's been a busy day for today's official, Andy Murato, as that ball rolls out the back line. It's going to be a goal kick for St. Francis. We're still early in this second half, but you have to give some credit to Calumet for coming out hot the way they have. They have not yet been able to generate any goals, but they're keeping the pressure on despite playing a man down and despite playing as a team that has struggled to score this year. They've been outscored by 21. That ball headed out of bounds by Calumet. 25-4 is the cumulative score through the first 7 games for the Crimson Wave this year. Valadez taps it ahead. Knocked back to Oropeza, and Brian Castillo can't keep it in bounds. Despite the lopsided record and the lopsided goals scored this year, Calumet St. Joseph is not a team that goes down easily. It's not a team that gets blown out a lot. And listen, you can't sugarcoat an 0-7 record. Kind of speaks for itself, but for as much trouble as they've had winning games and scoring goals, they are not a team that typically gets beaten out too badly. A couple of blowout losses this year, but typically they've been 1 or 2 goal games. We've got another whistle. It looks like he's reaching for a card again. Yellow card given to St. Francis this time. I think that was Tejelos who got the card that time with 38 minutes 44 seconds to play. Things are getting a little bit crazy here. Yellow cards are being given left and right. The third one we've seen in this second half. 2 against St. Francis and 1 against Calumet. It's the 5th booking that we've had in this game. So Calumet gets another free kick here. They've got Nemanja Stefanovic and Devontae Brown hovering around the ball right now. Oscar Leon checks back in for St. Francis. There's the kick, and right at Carlos Ferrer-Cotto, who makes the stop and falls on top of it to prevent any chance at a rebound. There's the first save of the game for Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. He's working on a shutout right now. You'd like him to earn it. And there he does pick up his first save of the game. A good-looking shot. But Carlos Ferrer-Cotto was on it the entire way. So it remains 2-0 in favor of the Fighting Saints as we move down close to 38 minutes to play. Knocked out of bounds by the Saints along the far sideline. Here's a quick throw in for the Crimson Wave. Jack Mitchell tosses it in. Bounces a couple of times before it's picked off by Fighting Saints defense. Calumet gets control back down into the corner. There's the cross. Headed out of harm's way by David Valadez, and it goes out the sideline, so it will be a throw in here for Calumet. Still in the attacking zone. Lobbed into the box for Easy. Easy turns, looking for help. Instead, it's knocked out of bounds. It's a goal kick. Easy was the last one to touch it. Good play there by Brian Castillo. Castillo was able to avoid touching that ball, but he kept his body in front of Kenneth Easy. Didn't allow him to get it and save it from going out, so it is a goal kick for the Fighting Saints. Last year when these two teams met up, St. Francis was victorious. Actually, it was a year ago to the day, September 19th of last year. Erastus Abilo forced to the ground there, and that is a foul against Calumet. Morgan McKenzie steps up to take the kick. Saints were victorious against Calumet 1-0 last year. They've got a 2-0 lead here, angling for 3-0, a header in the box, but an easy stop right there for Roy Gein. He rolls it out to start a counterattack from Calumet. Doesn't go anywhere as it's halted just across midfield. Crimson Wave get it back. Kenneth Easy in the middle of the field. Rolls it off to Dawkins. This is Woods. Woods pushes back towards midfield and to the defensive line. It's Eliseo Hernandez lobbing it forward where it's deflected back by the Fighting Saints. Popped up into the air by Woods. Far sideline. Tapped by Peterkin. Into the box, Dawkins has it taken away from him. Good defense by Brian Castillo, and Castillo shoots it down the middle of the field, back to midfield. Picked off again by the Crimson Wave. This is Hernandez. Hernandez intercepted by Erastus Abilo, or rather Kelvin Lovu, and now Valadez is on the run, trying to receive this pass from Oropeza. Valadez not able to get there first. Instead, it's Helsingden. Helsingden kicks it out the sideline. Valadez tosses it back in, right to the foot of Erastus Abilo. Cuts it to the middle of the field, turns and shoots, deflected off the foot of Hernandez. Back out to Nlovu. He resumes play to Oscar Leon, and there's a whistle. 35 minutes and 11 seconds to play as the clock stops. There's an injury down on the other end of the field, and that's why the whistle. I think that's Devin Dawkins down there. No, it's not Dawkins. There's Dawkins in midfield. That might be Darnell Peterkin. Not sure when he went down. He's on the complete opposite end of the play. So it's not likely that he just fell a moment ago. He's probably been down there in pain for a few minutes, and because the ball moved away from that side of the field, took a while before they stopped play as the Saints were able to mount an attack, and then finally when things slowed down, they blew the whistle and halted things to give a chance to the training staff to get out and have a look at him. It is Darnell Peterkin who is walking off the field, and he appears to be okay as he walks off. Not much of a limp as he goes down. I'm not sure what it was affecting him in the first place, why he went down, but he is walking off on his own, and again, seems to be walking fairly normally, so that's a good sign for him, as he'll sit out for at least a little bit. And they'll bring a sub back into the game for him. It'll be Zach DiMartino checking in for the injured Darnell Peterkin. It's been a very stilted second half so far. First half had a little bit better flow to it, but the first 10 minutes of the second half, we've seen 3 yellow cards given out. We've seen an injury now. The clock has stopped more often in the second half than it did at any point in the first half. 35-11 to play. Everybody back in position, and Calumet will give the ball a big kick and give it back up to St. Francis after the injury to get us going once again. This is Valadez along the near sideline. Valadez rolls it across midfield and has his pass intercepted by Helsdingen. DiMartino gets his first touch of the game, and he has it taken away from him by Mason Messina. Here's McKenzie off to the left side. Oropeza rolls it back ahead to Morgan McKenzie, and it's deflected out of bounds by Eliseo Hernandez. Well, apparently last touched by McKenzie. He was getting set for the throw-in, but they'll give it up to Helsdingen instead. And he lobs it in. Into Devin Dawkins. Dawkins picked off, but knocked back to the defensive line, and Hernandez clears it for the Crimson Wave. Saints trying to pick up their second consecutive victory against Calumet College of St. Joseph. St. Francis, of course, struggled a lot in CCAC play. They won a couple of years between CCAC wins before they came out strong last year, really turned things around. Their 1-0 victory against Calumet was their first one of the year. New coaching staff for Calumet this year. The entire staff is brand new. Mish Marak is the first-year head coach of the Crimson Wave and still looking for his first victory with Calumet. A team that won 7 games last year, including 5 in conference. Looking for their first victory of this season, and they haven't looked like an 0-7 team, especially playing a man down for much of the game so far. They're trailing 2-0, but they've hung in there. They've played a tough contest here. Barnhill taps it back to DiMartino. Ball loose and picked off by Ruel Arastis-Abilo. Arastis-Abilo in the middle of the field, cutting to the outside, now looking to get around the defender. Having some trouble doing so as he pulls it all the way to the far side. Jack Mitchell hanging in front of him the entire way. That ball rolled off to the right side, and there's a cross in front of the net. Oropeza can't get by Roy Gein, who dives on top of the ball. Oropeza tumbles over him. Nice play by the goalkeeper, Roy Gein, the senior from Arkansas, who keeps the deficit at 2-0 for the Crimson Wave. McKenzie contacted by Kenneth Easy, and the foul is called. So it'll be a free kick here for the Fighting Saints. Just over 32 minutes to play in today's game. Brian Castillo steps up from the defensive line to take the kick here. Castillo sends it straight down the middle of the field into the box, and Roy Gein is able to pull it in. It's a little dicey for a second there. Gein came on and tried to pick it up off his shoestrings and didn't get a clean grasp on it initially, but he was able to fall on top of it before any of St. Francis' strikers could get in the way. There's a trip at midfield. Mason Messina is forced to the ground. Free kick right at the midfield stripe for the Fighting Saints, who lead 2-0. There's a ball down the far sideline. Tap back towards the middle of the field. It's Arastis-Abilo who gets to it, works around Nemanja Stefanovic. But it's knocked downfield by the second line of defense for the Crimson Wave. Here's Batangelo. Batangelo's kick is headed by Jack Mitchell towards the sideline and out of bounds. Throw in coming up here for Albie Hilton Jones as he sends it backwards. Saints make their way down the far side of the field. Hilton Jones pushes it ahead, knocked out of bounds. Touch last by the team in crimson. There's Woods for Calumet taking it away. Pulled right back by Albie Hilton Jones. Crimson Wave take possession at midfield. This is Dawkins rolling it off to the right, and Barnhill loses it to David Valadez, and Mason Messina turns it upfield, but Messina cannot control it for long as Nemanja Stefanovic takes over. Off to Addison Barnhill. Barnhill gets around McKenzie. Valadez muscles him off the ball. Good defensive play by David Valadez as he pushes it far off to the right side. Knocked out of bounds. Last touch there by the Fighting Saints. Crimson Wave throw-in. Into DiMartino. And the whistle blows. I think that one might have gone off the hand of a St. Francis player. Forced ahead by Calumet. On the near side, this is Helsdingen all the way down in the corner. Helsdingen pulls up his momentum, looks for the cross, can't find anybody. It's knocked the other way by Messina. And now back into the box for the Crimson Wave, and the ball is lost as Carlos Ferrer-Cotto tracks it down. A chance there for Devin Dawkins Jr., but too many defenders in his way. The defensive presence of St. Francis has been good so far as Carlos Ferrer-Cotto picks that ball up. Kenneth Easy making a soft run at it. Just a cursory run. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto is taking as much time as he can here before finally giving it a punt across midfield. On the right side, a battle for the ball, and a whistle blows. Foul called against Calumet. Saints are going to do this again here. Just over 28 minutes to play in the second half of today's game. St. Francis 2, Calumet College of St. Joseph nothing. Saints move their players downfield as Albie Hilton Jones sets the ball up. Makes a big run and a big kick down into the box. Headed back the other way by Jack Mitchell. And out of bounds. Tossed into Erastus Abilo, and Erastus Abilo gives it up off the arm. So free kick from the goalkeeper's box for Calumet College. There's a big boot down the far side. Controlled off the chest of Easy, and now Easy makes his way towards the middle of the field. Cuts it off to the right, looking for Helsdingen. Picked off initially, but Calumet gets it back as the Saints were unable to take possession. Here's Addison Barnhill. Barnhill taps it back and knocks it off of Valadez out of bounds. And before Barnhill throws it again, we'll get a substitution here. Darnell Peterkin, who left a couple of minutes ago with an injury, is back into the game now. So good to see Peterkin coming back in as Kenneth Easy makes his way off the field. There's the orange practice jersey worn by the subs. Easy just let it drop to the ground rather than accept it. Easy's not feeling too good about the way things are going right now, so he walks angrily off the field. And the Saints are able to knock it out of harm's way for the moment. Albie Hilton Jones looking to clear it once and for all, but it deflected off of his hand. So Calumet gets the free kick here towards the center of the field. This ball about 25 yards out. They were able to put one on goal from similar range earlier this half. They've not yet scored a goal, of course. Only one shot on goal. Woods and Dawkins, the two players nearest this ball. Woods appears to be the man in position to take the kick. Instead, he just taps it off weakly to Dawkins, and Dawkins airmails the net well out of bounds. So they tried to get a little cute there with Devontae Brown. Rather than Woods, Devontae Brown giving it off to Dawkins, and Dawkins was not able to catch the Saints off guard. Sent it well high and to the left. Morgan McKenzie sits out. Roberto Santillan is in for the first time today for the Fighting Saints. Nearing 25 minutes to play in today's game. Rolled back towards the goalkeeper and kicked away by Roy Geen off to the sideline and out of bounds. St. Francis nearly doubling up Calumet on shots today, 17-9, as there's another one, but nowhere near the net as it sails out of bounds to the right side. Goal kick coming up for Calumet. So the Fighting Saints certainly have been the more prolific offensive team in this game, but despite all the extra opportunities, they've only really scored one goal within the confines of their offense today. The second goal scored in the final 20 seconds of the first half on a penalty kick. All in all, Crimson Wave defense has done a solid job against St. Francis today, and this is a relatively high-scoring St. Francis team. They entered play today with 10 goals scored in 6 games. Off to the right side on the offensive zone for Calumet, knocked out of bounds by the Crimson Wave. And Valadez throws it in. 10 goals in 6 games, not a huge number for the Fighting Saints. They had scored 10 in their first 5, so scoring 2 a game. They had a pretty good attack early on in this season, but they were shut out for the second time this year in their last game. That was 5 days ago. Helsdingen rolls it ahead, now into the box, cleared by St. Francis. Calvin and Lovu starting to make a run the other way, but he's harried. The ball knocked away from his possession, but rolled out of bounds by the Crimson Wave. St. Francis gets the throw. It's been a pretty good game for the goalkeeper, Roy Geen. Geen has made 5 saves in today's game. Granted, they haven't been the most difficult saves, but still, anytime your opposition has 7 shots on goal and you've kept your team in it, he's done a pretty good job as a goalie as the whistle blows, and we've got another hurt man for Calumet. That's Helsdingen. A little slow to get up off the ground after he was fouled, but he's okay, stays in. No need to stop playing, bring the trainers out. They work their way forward. Calumet coming off of that foul. They get it down into the corner to Darnell Peterkin. Peterkin keeps it in bounds, looking for the cross. It finds its intended target. There's a shot popped up into the air in front of the net. It's headed away and out of bounds by Messina, I believe. The man to get his head on that ball, and Mason Messina knocked it out of bounds. So it's a corner kick. More than halfway through this second half, as the clock goes near 22 minutes now. Corner kick will be taken by Helsdingen, banged up a minute ago, but ready to go now for the corner kick. Headed first by the Crimson Wave, down towards the back line once again on the far side. Taken away and cleared by Castillo as he pushes it towards midfield. Flag is up, the whistle blows. And it's going to be St. Francis ball. They've got a goal kick coming up here. And Batangelo pushes it far downfield off the head of Nlovu, ahead to Erastus Abilo. Erastus Abilo taps it once into the box. Ragin kicks it the other way. Good defense. Erastus Abilo was one clean touch away from getting an open shot, or at least going one-on-one with the goalkeeper. But he was well defended, just couldn't get a clean run on it. He tapped it once, a little bit too hard out in front of him. Not able to get that clean touch that he was looking for after what had been a good ball to get it to him. The Saints will try to make a run again as Erastus Abilo chases this ball down to the far side, but it is picked up by the defense. Taken back across midfield. Dawkins loses possession to Leon Laskowski. Sliding stop by Helsdingen, and he hits the ground again. And this time not able to get up so quickly. 20 minutes, 25 seconds to play in the second half, and Helsdingen is down. This time he will need a little medical attention, so we'll have a quick break in the game. Helsdingen went down a couple of minutes ago. He was fouled. And he was down for a couple of seconds. He slowly brought himself up and limped around for a minute or so before he really got himself back involved in the game action. And this time, no contact made. Looked like something maybe tightened up on him as he was chasing that ball, but he is going to stay in the game again. He went to the ground hard there and pounded the ground frustratedly with his fist a few times. So he looked like he was hurt a little bit more seriously than that, but he is okay to stay in. Did not need any assistance from the trainer, and we're back underway very quickly. Saints push it into the box and a little bit too far out in front of Calvin and Lovu making the run there. So it's a corner kick, or goal kick rather. Calvin and Lovu scored in the 11th minute of today's game. That was our first score, and it was our only score for a while. And then in the 45th minute, 19 seconds to play in the first half, another goal came in. That was on the penalty kick from Vicente Tealos. Edgar Oropeza was fouled by Roy Gein in the box. And so Tealos got to take the penalty kick in the final seconds of the half. That made it 2-0. And that's been our score the entire second half as Leon Laskowski makes a run down to receive this ball on the near side, looking for the cross. It's deflected. Laskowski gets it back. This time he does put it in front of the net. There's a shot and a diving save made by Gein. Nice effort there from Kelvin and Lovu, looking for his second goal of the game, but Roy Gein was on top of it. Good diving play by Gein. Out of bounds off the Crimson Wave. Saints will try to get this attack rolling once again. Tossed in. Erastus Abilo knocks it back. All going back and forth now as Roberto Santillan battles for it defensively for St. Francis. The Crimson Wave hold on to possession. This is Devin Dawkins. Dawkins rolls it ahead to Nemanja Stefanovic. And his pass is deflected out the sideline. That was last touched by Calumet. St. Francis tosses it in, but they'll send it back out of bounds and do it again because we've got a substitute coming on here. Edgar Oropeza is coming back in. Ruel Erastus Abilo is checking out. Erastus Abilo is St. Francis's leading goal scorer this year with 4 of them. He's had a relatively quiet day on the attacking front today, but he's been getting himself involved. Just hasn't had any good looks at the net yet. And he'll take a rest now as Oropeza comes back on. Under 18 minutes to play in the game. There's the throw-in. Going back the other direction, and the Saints take over. Good defensive stand there for Calvin and Lovu, who is knocked away from the ball, and a foul called against Lovu. Stefanovic pushes it ahead to Peterkin, off to the right side. Addison Barnhill. Barnhill takes the shot from long range and just a little bit too high. Good looking shot from Addison Barnhill there. About 20 yards out, far to the right side. Caught the Saints off guard a little bit by putting that one towards the net. Just a little bit too high. Carlos Viracoto unable to make the save. Now the Saints on a run. They're on sides into the box. There's a shot and a goal. Second goal of the game for Kelvin and Lovu. And it's 3-0 St. Francis with 17 minutes and 1 second to play. Second goal of the game, second goal of the season for Kelvin and Lovu. He scored one in the 11th minute, and now here in the 73rd, potentially to put the game away. Kelvin and Lovu's had a very aggressive game. He's looked really good out there today, and he is able to extend the St. Francis advantage late. And the Saints take possession right back off the kick away from the goal. Here's Laskowski down into the corner. Oropeza kicks it back to Mason Messina. Messina fires a shot and a diving save by Roy Gein. Great save by Gein. That was a good-looking shot from Mason Messina as he tried to make it 2 goals in less than a minute for St. Francis. Play goes on the other way. Mitchell against Oropeza. Rolls it ahead across midfield, taken back by the St. Francis defense. Working their way forward down towards the corner. That one is halted by Devontae Brown. And a foul called on the Fighting Saints as Brown was pulled to the ground. Here's Helsdingen rolling it off to the left side, and Mitchell. Downfield and along the sideline, and Petangelo will just let that ball roll out of bounds. It's a throw in for St. Francis. Leading 3-0 late in this game. 2 goals in the first half and 1 just moments ago. Calvin Nlovu scored his second of the night. Albie Hilton Jones taps it off to his left, and David Valadez. Valadez to the sideline, and Lovu. Lovu working his way towards the box again. Taps it back to Valadez. Again to Calvin Nlovu. And Lovu on the cross to the back end. And offsides is the call. I think that was Oscar Leone who went offsides. Looking to add another goal to the Saints' lead. Instead, there'll be a free kick here for Calumet as they start to make their way down the field. 14:45 to play in today's game. Captain Bounds along the far sideline. Albie Hilton Jones rolls it downfield where it's intercepted by Jack Mitchell. Mitchell of the Crimson Wave off to his right finds Stefanovic. Now back to the left. The ball rolled ahead to Dawkins. Dawkins at the edge of the box against a pair of defenders. It's knocked away by Christian Petangelo. Petangelo ahead for Kelvin Nlovu working against Helsdingen, and Helsdingen slides to the ground along the track. A hard fall from Kevin Helsdingen, but he's okay. This time he gets up quickly and runs it off. Helsdingen will get the throw in. The ball apparently was last touched by Calvin Nlovu. Tossed in towards the middle of the field on an attempted clearance from Brian Castillo. It hits off of a Crimson Wave attacker, but Calumet will get the free kick here. "25 yards out on the right side. They've had a few of these free kicks from deep in the attacking zone here. Nemanja Stefanovic's got it set up to take the kick. Three to nothing, St. Francis leads. Calumet trying to avoid their 5th shutout loss of the season. Kick is played short to Helsdingen. Helsdingen in front of the net does not get a clean shot off, as there are 3 defenders in the way. The whistle blows, though. There was some contact. And it looks like a foul has been called on the Fighting Saints. I'm not sure who they got there, but it is going to be a penalty kick. Penalty kick for Calumet. Kenneth Easy is going to take the kick. Try to crack up this shutout here. The kick from Kenneth Easy is a goal for Calumet. They are on the board with 13 minutes and 4 seconds remaining. So each team now has planted one in there on a penalty kick today. For Kenneth Easy, that's the 2nd goal of the season.
Calumet goal scored from the penalty spot by number 7, Kenneth Easy.
So 4 minutes, almost exactly 4 minutes after Calvin Nlovu gave a big insurance goal to St. Francis. Kenneth Easy brings the deficit back to 2. So that Nlovu's goal, that 2nd goal from Nlovu, looms large right now, because I don't care if you are playing a man up against a team that has struggled offensively all season. Nobody feels comfortable with a 1-goal lead and 13 minutes to play. 2-goal lead and 13 minutes still to go. He's still in pretty good shape here. Knocked down the field there by Eliseo Hernandez. There's Mason Messina losing the ball to Dawkins, and Dawkins dribbled it out of bounds as the flag went up along the sideline. Saints were looking for their first shutout win this season. They were 13 minutes and 4 seconds away, but not able to complete the shutout. Instead, Calumet gets on the board on a penalty kick, and so they avoid being shut out for what would have been the 5th time this year. They score their 5th goal of the season on Easy's PK. Still a long way to go, though, for the Crimson Wave as they try to get themselves back into this game. Albie Hilton Jones throws it in. And deflected out of bounds by Oscar Leon. There's a quick whistle. Free kick here for Calumet. The goal scored by the Crimson Wave was just their 2nd shot on goal today. Carlos Ferracoto has made 1 save so far, but keep in mind he came into today's game averaging 2.62 goals allowed per contest, and a lot of that is because of the number of shots on him. There have been quite a few, and he's done a nice job of making some saves. He had 17 coming in, so averaging about 6 saves per game. Today only 1. He's given up just 1 goal. So not as many opportunities for Calumet as some of the other St. Francis opponents have had this year. Under 11 minutes to play in the game. 3-1. Saints on top. Helsdingen ahead for Kenneth Easy. Easy can't control it off the first touch. Laskowski gets in his way, but Laskowski unable to control. It's Easy instead, rifling it out of bounds. Laskowski heads back out. Eric Vega, freshman defender, local product from Joliet West High School, into the game. Nice kick from Enlovu off to Vega on the left side. Vega looking to get it back to the center. Working hard against Addison Barnhill. Vega still in possession here. Nice tap to get around Barnhill. There's the cross to the backside, a little bit too strong to get the goal on the other end. This is just the 2nd time this season that Eric Vega has gotten into a game. Some impressive ball work from the freshman right there. Just not quite able to make the pass he was looking for. Calumet takes it the other way. Helsdingen rolls it up to midfield, where it's taken away by Mason Messina. Now a battle for the ball right at midfield. Kelvin Enlovu deflects it off Nemanja Stefanovic, and Stefanovic's header goes out the sideline. Throw in coming up for St. Francis as they make another substitution. Rocco Del Real is back into the game, and looks like the man heading out towards the bench is Oscar Leon. Leon, who got the start today for just the 2nd time this year, checks out. Here's McKenzie. Morgan McKenzie dribbles up across midfield. Passes off, and the ball's lost, but Kelvin Enlovu there to pick it up. And Enlovu races to the right side, gets by the defender, and Enlovu shoots and just misses what would have been his 3rd goal of the game. Just a little bit wide to the left. And Enlovu looking for the hat trick. He had Roy Gein beat. Certainly had the defenders beat, but Gein was able to force him off his mark just a little bit. Some good pressure from the goalkeeper there, and Enlovu misses by inches. Came into today's game with no goals in 6 games. Very nearly had 3 here in the 7th. 8 minutes, 20 seconds remain in today's game. Albie Hilton Jones looking to start another attack for St. Francis as they're up 3-1, but they lose the ball out of bounds. Calumet gets the throw in. Knocked out of bounds once again, this time by Calumet. St. Francis will put it back in play. Substitution as Kelvin Enlovu heads out. Great game today from Kelvin Enlovu. He's probably done for the day as Ruel Erastus Abilo checks back in. But a great showing from Enlovu, junior midfielder. Transferred over from Truman College. He's got his first 2 goals of the season today. And he's given the Fighting Saints a 3-1 lead. And now Erastus Abila will try to get involved offensively. His pass looking for Eric Vega is deflected out of bounds. Morgan McKenzie makes a long, slow walk up from the defensive side to toss this ball in. Saints in no hurry right now with this 2-goal lead. Don't need to worry about moving quickly in the margins between plays. McKenzie on the outside, rolls it forward, gets the pass right back. He passes to his right. Oropeza looking to the outside, and Hilton Jones. He hooks up with Hilton Jones, a little bit behind him. But it is knocked out of bounds by Devontae Brown. So Hilton Jones tosses it back in. Popped up into the box. Erastus Abilo is there, but he's muscled off of the ball. Good defense by Eliseo Hernandez. Vega on the run, can't quite get there before it goes out of bounds. It's a goal kick. It was a bit of a disappointing non-conference season for St. Francis. They went 2-4 with one cancellation. Shut out twice. Didn't procure any shutouts of their own. But they're trying to start conference season off strong with a 3-1 win today over Calumet. They'd take 4 or 5-1 too if they can add a few more in the final 6 minutes here. This is Vega on the left side. Vega sends it towards the middle of the field. There's a shot, and it's a goal for St. Francis. There's that offsides. I think the flag may have gone up just before that one went in. Erastus Abilo came in on the back end of that play, and he was able to put it in. But the offsides flag went up just before the shot was taken by St. Francis. So they'll have another attempt here at their 4th goal. Morgan McKenzie's shot is saved by Roy Gein. Looked for a second like 4-1, but Saints still comfortably ahead by 2 goals here with 5 minutes and 20 seconds to play. There's another yellow card. This one given to Mason Messina, and play resumes very quickly. I'll stop the clock again. Play resumed a little bit too quickly for Andy Murato, today's official. He's got to write that name down in his little book there first to signal Mason Messina's yellow card. There have been quite a few infractions committed in today's game. We've seen nearly 30 fouls called. That's our 4th yellow card to go along with 1 red. Off to the sideline, out of bounds to throw in for St. Francis. 1 yellow card and 1 red have been given to the visiting team. As for St. Francis, 4 yellow cards. So 5 total, along with 1 red. Gein steps way outside of the box and is able to kick that ball away. It was a risky maneuver there as Edgar Oropeza made his run towards trying to score the 4th goal. Here's Erastus Abilo inside, deflected out. There's a shot deflected by the defense. Ball loose in the attacking third of the field for St. Francis and knocked out the sideline, out for a throw-in. Crimson Wave are able to put the ball back in play, going back in their direction. Brown is pulled down from behind. Quick whistle, but they put the ball right back in play. Trying to work quickly here. Here are the Saints. Oropeza hits the ground briefly, and there's a foul called against Calumet. It's been a very physical game today, and especially here in the second half. It's been called tight. A lot of whistles. I mentioned 6 bookings a little bit earlier. There have been quite a few stoppages in play here. Here comes Dawkins. Good ball work, trying to get around Del Real. He does, and pushes it downfield. Nobody there, though, wearing crimson, and easily cleared out of bounds by the Fighting Saints. Homecoming week here for St. Francis, and soccer team trying to do its part with a good crowd out here tonight. Watching them on their way potentially to their first conference victory of the season, the first conference game of the season. 5 CCAC games in action today as the Saints try to put it away. Their ball's rolled off to Vega. He takes the shot in an open net and can't connect. Wide to the left. He wound up a little bit too hard there. As Erastus Abilo had a chance at scoring that one on his own, but instead he tapped it off to Eric Vega, who had nobody in front of him. The net had been cleared by Roy Geen, who went after the Erastus Abilo attack. And Vega had a great opportunity for his first collegiate goal. Maybe got a little bit too antsy, a little bit too excited on that one, as he wound up and fired it well wide on an empty net. Vega tried to give himself another chance right here. He dribbles the ball down into the corner, now pulls it back and passes it out to McKenzie. McKenzie's pass is intercepted by Devin Dawkins. Mason Messina steps in front of Dawkins. Still in control, though, as the Crimson Wave make their way downfield. Against 4 defenders, Dawkins can't hold on to possession. Under 2 minutes to play in the game. St. Francis does appear to be on their way to a win. And of course, on day 1 of conference season, you can come away with a victory. That ties you for first place in the conference. Whistle blows, the clock stops once again. Looks like an injured player down on the back line for Calumet with 1:42 to play. Kevin Helsdingen is a little bit shaken up again, stretching himself out. He is okay, but he's got a leg issue that's been bothering him for most of the second half. He's had to take himself out of the action a few times. Leon Leskowski is back in for St. Francis, subbing in for Mason Messina. Helsdingen is limping off towards the sideline. Let's see if they sub for him this time. He's been out there the entire way, but again, for most of the second half, he's been bothered by some leg issue on and off. He's actually gone down to the ground and stayed there a couple of times. Each time he has eventually been able to get himself up and hang in there. But Helsdingen will check out for the remainder of today's game, down by 2 goals with under 2 minutes to play. Doesn't want to risk any further injury at this point. Tossed in by St. Francis. On the far side, ball is knocked out. Saints get to throw it back in once again here. I'll be Hilton Jones lobbing it into the box to Erastus Abilo. Ruel Erastus Abilo working along the back line in the corner, trying to keep it in bounds. Knocked away and out by Jack Mitchell. It is a throw-in out the sideline rather than the back. Final minute of play here. There's a ball into the box, knocked away by Calumet. Chased down, though, by Leon Laskowski. He keeps it alive. Back to Morgan McKenzie and ahead to Ruel Erastus Abilo. Cleared from Erastus Abilo, but back to the Saints again. Morgan McKenzie taps it back to the defense, and it looks like now the Saints will be content with a 2-goal victory here as Eric Vega rolls it all the way back to Carlos Ferrer Cotto. Crimson Wave have called off their dogs, and the Saints will just pass it back and forth along the defensive line to tick the seconds away here. 20 to go in today's game. St. Francis is going to come away with a 3-1 victory against Calumet College of St. Joseph in the CCAC opener. Down to 5 seconds to go. There's one final kick over to Eric Vega, and Vega lets that clock run out. The buzzer sounds. St. Francis is victorious. They pick up their 3rd victory of the year, and they do so rather impressively. The only goal allowed came on a late penalty kick for Calumet St. Joseph. Saints led this one from the 11th minute on. Calvin and Lovu scored 2 goals for St. Francis tonight, including the first one that gave them a lead they would not relinquish the rest of the way. And a nice start to the conference season for St. Francis here with the win against Calumet St. Joseph. Let's go back over the recap in today's game. In the 11th minute, Calvin and Lovu was able to pick up his first goal of the year, and that's what got our scoring started in today's game, making it 1-0. That was the score pretty much the entire way in the first half, and with 19 seconds down the rest of the way, and they were not was able to score on a penalty kick in the 77th minute.